Okay, we have 1 minute after.
Oh, really getting back.
Yeah, is there something we need to do?
Can I suggest that Sherry mute?
Okay,
how
let's
is
try
it
that now. It's working. You are a techie person, Victor.
No, just logical. We didn't have the problem until Sherry unmuted, and then we had the problem. So I thought we could try that.
So you think I'm the problem, Victor?
No, your equipment.
Okay, we
not
are
you.
going to start this meeting. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And our first motion is moved by Nikki Gowdy, seconded by Victor Hayes, that the agenda for the regular council meeting for December the 14th, 2021 be approved as. Are there any amendments, Kathy?
No, none.
Okay, so as presented. All those in favor? Motion's carried.
Excuse me, Madam Mayor, is it possible to move the delegation up? We have a pretty heavy agenda and they've have to sit through all of it before they do their presentation.
I think we can do that with council's permission. Is everyone okay with that? Okay, let's move it up just before staff reports, just after deferred items.
Thank you.
Good suggestion, Nikki. Okay. All right. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof of any item on tonight's agenda by any member of council? Nikki?
On agenda number 9, it's not talking about pecuniary interest, but due to it being my employment, I decided to declare.
Okay, wise decision probably. All right, we'll note that. And Kathy will send you the paperwork if you haven't already done it.
Yeah, not a problem.
Great. I have a motion for minutes moved by Brent Cameron, seconded by Philip Smith, that the minutes of the regular council meeting held November the 23rd, 2021 be approved as presented. Is Philip? Oh, there's Philip. Yes. Okay. Any question or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor? Carried. Okay. Mayor's remarks. I have a few remarks. We'll start with the good news first. Cindy had sent me a note to say that the new owners of Springwood Cottages collected bottles and cans over the summer and cashed them in and donated money to the food bank and to the recreation committee, I believe in Kennebec. Cindy, is that correct?
Yes, Madam Mayor, it was for the Kennebec trails so we go to the rec committee to be used for the Kennebec Wilderness Trails. And I believe the other part of the donation was maybe to rural Frontenac Community Services.
Okay, right. And I think it was around $1,000. That true?
The total donation was $1,000 with $250 coming to the township for the trails.
Excellent. So we thank them very much. That's fantastic. On the not so happy news is the variant that we're dealing with and the numbers that are going sky high. And I'll let Kathy speak to this later about our control group meeting and some decisions we made about closing offices and folks working at home. Kathy, do you want to give us a little update on that right now?
Sure, I can do it right now. I'm just going to grab my my binder because I move stuff all over the place. I think I can just maybe ad lib it for certainly for council. At our update with Dr. Oglaza on Monday, he gave us quite an update and certainly information in regards, especially it's dealing with the new variant, which is the Omicron. It seems to be doubling. They first started out with 9 cases, then it just kept going higher and higher. And at one point they were at 263. So, and I think right now, as of today, in our area is 908 certainly are affected. So what happened is that in light of that, they're certainly recommending for us to either work from home, look at ways to sort of help to restrict the movement of people. At that point, at noon that day, they were doing a section 22 for the city of Kingston, which the city had to, they are reducing their numbers of folks from the 10 to 5 indoors. They were restricting restaurants could only have 4 people to a table, that there's no dancing, no music, and alcohol cannot be served after 10 at night. So what we expected that we will also be receiving further restrictions. We just haven't received it as of yet through the letter of instruction, because we did receive one letter of instruction, and that was sort of detailed as to more in regards to businesses here and through the whole KFLNA health unit area. Also, both the South Frontenac, they met, their ECG met that morning before they went with the call with Dr. Oglaza. They have made the decision to close their offices as of tomorrow, which is Wednesday, and start working from home. Now, they close the office to the public, but staff will be in there. Some will be working from home. The county has also followed suit. So they will all be working from home because they don't have much movement of people. So they basically restricted now for that. I received an email from North Frontenac late yesterday afternoon after we had our ECG meeting at 4 o'clock. I commented to Jamie that maybe we need to look at this as well. So at that meeting, our group suggested the same thing, that we follow suit as South Frontenac did, and certainly close our office to the public, and for folks to work from home, that can be. Now, I know at that point, they were looking for us to go ahead and do that immediately. Unfortunately, Jamie is not available to help out with some of the work and getting ready with council. And my certainly thoughts were that we do need to give our residents certainly some some warning and give them some idea, because I know what'll happen. There'll be an influx of people probably wanting bags, garbage bags. So my thoughts are, and I spoke to the mayor about it, is that we will do our messaging. And as of Friday, the end of Friday is the 17th at 4:30, we'll close the office, and some folks will work from home because we'll only have about 4 days, because we close as of the 23rd at 4:30 until January the 4th. North Frontenac Township has decided not to close their office and not to work from home. They felt that at this point, there wasn't the numbers in North Frontenac to warrant, and that some of their folks were going to be on vacation. We're going to be on vacation anyway. And on the call, I certainly mentioned to Mayor Higgins so that he was aware, because I wasn't sure if he was, that we did have, a variant, we've had a participant or an outbreak or whatever, at least one or two is in Grec. So we do have it here in our area and in the school. So we just want to be on the safe side, but we're bringing this certainly so that council are aware of it before it goes out to the public. So I think that was it, Mayor Smith, was it not? Anything else you?
Yes, it was. Any questions or comments from anyone? Bill, go ahead.
Yes, you, Madam Mayor. Does that mean our meeting on the 20th then for the septic agreement will be postponed till the new year?
Either that or it will be by Zoom.
Yes, and that's what we're going to be having. We have interviews booked for Friday and we're doing them via Zoom.
Okay, I'll look forward to your information.
Okay. Okay, does anyone else have anything to add under the remarks? Okay, so I guess the message going forward is stay local, follow the rules, and try to keep this new variant from getting us. Okay, we are now going to move our delegation up after the deferred items, and there are no deferred items. So we have rural Frontenac Community Services, and I believe it's Sarah McCullough that's going to be speaking to us. Hello, Sarah.
Sorry there. Hi. Thank you, everybody, for letting us come on tonight and give a little presentation. Cindy, I believe, has the presentation. There we are. So I've come on tonight to give you guys an update about what Rural Frontenac Community Services youth program has been doing and to make sure you're aware of the programs that we offer. So the youth program offers programs for ages 6 to 21 across Frontenac County. We offer mostly recreation-based programs such as our kids club and our summer camp. We do, myself, I work as a youth outreach worker, working with youth at risk of different things such as homelessness, needing access to counseling, and supporting youth in reaching their goals. We also offer many leadership opportunities for youth with our youth advisory committee and employment in various rural youth programs that we do. We offer educational programming such as our self-care toolbox group, babysitters courses, and home alone courses. Next slide, please. So to give you guys a little more information, I think the last time I got to come to you, we were still funded under United Way as a rural youth liaison, working with youth at risk of homelessness. That changed last year when we applied to United Way for the Bridging the Gaps Rural Youth Program. So I now work as, the title is a rural youth outreach worker, assisting youth with various service needs and supporting youth in reaching their goals. So this can include still me going in and working with youth at risk of homelessness, substance use, needing food security, housing, employment. I offer groups as well. So I do a self-care toolbox group, which is a virtual 4-week program, teaching youth to understand the importance of practicing self-care while creating tools that help them practice self-care. I also go into Granite Ridge a lot and work with Emily Mallet, who's there as the guidance counselor, running groups with her and supporting youth that need my services or access to other services outside of the school. Next slide, please. On the other hand, some of our more fun stuff that we do is this year we've done our Kids Craft Club, leadership programs, Being Creative at Home program, our summer programming, our Youth Hub, Youth Month, Youth Advisory, Kids Club, Back to School backpacks, winter clothes, and One Feet Project are just some of the things that we've offered over this year. So those are some of our more fun and upbeat programs. Next slide, please. So we are funded through Central Frontenac Township for our Kids Club programming. This year, we got shut down in March last year because of closure of schools and with the pandemic. This year, we found a way to be a little more creative. So at the beginning of this year, we started our Kids Craft Club, which was a weekly virtual craft club over Zoom that kids were delivered kits every week with all the materials needed to participate in this group, and logged in every Tuesday at 4 and did a craft with me over Zoom. You can see this is one of our snow globe crafts that we did this spring. And we had 22 participants participate in that virtual program. Next slide, please. We also do a lot of leadership things. We want to gauge our youth in our community so that our youth feel empowered in their community. Keeping youth engaged in their community is so important for keeping youth in our community. We want them to come back and stay in our community. So we do a bunch of leadership programs, such as working with our youth advisory committee. Right now we have 3 youth on that committee. We are currently recruiting. Most of my youth graduated last year, so we're building us back up. youth on that committee earn volunteer hours, help me with designing and suggesting program opportunities, looking at fundraising opportunities, and just staying involved with the community. We also offer babysitters courses and home alone courses. We offered one in August for both of the courses, and we had 7 participants at each course. We also currently we employ 6 youth across Frontenac County to work in our programs. So they're all local youth working at programs in their community. Next slide, please. Another fun thing that we got to do this year is we applied for the Emergency Community Support Fund through Community Foundations to provide the Being Creative at Home While Staying Warm project. So this program gave us the funds to run a huge program involving these giant, massive kits that had a craft, a game, and a snack to play, all themed around a children's story. There were 4 themes, and they were delivered bi-weekly to 28 families, and that included 53 children. So you can see from the picture some of the activities we did, such as lemon bird feeders and rainbow milk toast, and we made a board game around lemonade. And there was just so much involvement and so much thankfulness from the youth about this. This program was being run when youth were in lockdown and weren't going to school still. They were still virtual. So this gave kids the opportunity to get this giant, massive bag of goodies and participate in all these fun things. It was awesome, and we're so thankful that we got to do that. Next slide, please. This summer, we were back in full swing for our summer day camp. We run a 7-week day camp. We ran 3 days a week this summer. 15 youth registered every week. We were full. We cap at 15 in our programs. And we had a wait list to get into our summer camp this year. We saw a total of 28 different youth into our summer camp this summer. And the kids had so much fun. We also offered weekly pop-up events across Frontenac County. In Central Frontenac, we visited Parham, Ballfield, Big Clear Lake, Sharp Lake Beach, and we had planned to go to Long Lake Beach, but it was raining on the day that we were supposed to go there. Interesting note, when we were in Parham, we had 18 youth attend that one pop-up. So that was pretty awesome to see. Next slide, please. Prior to COVID, we ran our Rural Frontenac Youth Hub. We had just started it, had just become brand new and uploaded and getting going, and then we got shut down. The Youth Hub is a place that high school age youth can come. It's located at the center across from the bank and Mike Dean's here in Charlotte Lake. That you can come and play games, get homework help, connect with me as the rural outreach worker, learn to make different snacks and foods, and just be themselves in a safe environment. With COVID, we've had to turn to some more virtual kinds of programs. So we ran the self-care toolkit program twice this year. We ran a resume tips and tricks night in partnership with St. Lawrence Employment to help youth with building up their resumes and gaining interview skills in time for summer job applications. We also offered rec night every Thursday between February and March for youth to log in virtually and participate in games over Zoom and connect together. And we have a partnership, an ongoing partnership with the Lennox and Addington Youth Hub to offer pop-up programming in some of the areas where we bump up with them, such as in Cloyne. And we are hoping, fingers crossed, that things will settle down and we can reopen the Youth Hub in the new year. Next slide, please. As you may remember, last year, we asked you to celebrate Youth Month with us in May. We continued practicing Youth Month this year, and we did it again with our weekly photo contests, Youth Month activities, and we did a short essay contest this year with a subject line of what home means to me. If any of you are interested in seeing it, you can find it on our Facebook at Rural Frontenac Youth Events. We had numerous participants, 20 plus participants in our weekly photo contests this year. And as you can see, these are some of the entries that we had. They were just stunning to see different views from across Frontenac. Next slide, please. Again, you guys fund us for our Kids Club program. In the spring, we went to our Kids Craft Club. In this fall, community use of schools was still on hold, even though schools were back. So we had to be creative again and find a way that we could reach out to our youth and get them involved. So we reopened our Kids Club program for indoor programming in November. We run 3 nights a week in Central Frontenac, Mondays and Fridays in Charlotte Lake, and Wednesdays at the Olden Hall in Mountain Grove. We are still accepting registrations. We cap at 15. And our staff come prepared with games and crafts, and sometimes we bring in and pull in healthy emotional activities and self-care activities and talk about peer pressure and understanding social concepts and constructs with our youth, as well as building up that resiliency towards different factors in life, and discussing bullying as well as become a big topic within our youth group in our kids club. And we are very hopeful still again that things will calm down and we will get back into the schools next year, as being in the halls and in the child center is great, but it does pose a barrier of transportation for our youth to get out to program. Next slide, please. We want to say how grateful we are to you for funding our Kids Club program. It means the world to our kids here in Central Frontenac. Unfortunately, we still need, or not unfortunately, but we still need more funding for the other programs that I offer and all the outreach work that we do. So we wanted to keep you up to date. So we have applied to the Community Foundations for the fall 2020 grant for building resiliency for rural youth, and that has recently been approved. We also were able to renew our Bridging the Gaps for Rural Youth funding through United Way, and we have applied to the Trillium Foundation's Resilient Community Fund, and that application went in last week, and we won't hear till January around that one. Next slide, please. So I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the Building Resiliency for Youth grant that we've just received. It is a one-year pilot grant funded by the Community Foundations of Kingston and area. As I mentioned, during the summer, we did a pop-up in Parham, and we had 18 youth come out to that event. I am aware through my work within the school and my work with different youth in the community that there is a significant need in Parham for programming for youth. There's been an increase in youth in the area and we need something there for them. So we applied for this grant to get something going. So we are running a bi-weekly drop-in in Parham at the United Church Hall. We started not last week, but the week before, so we'll run again this week. We are bringing games for recreational activities. We talk about peer pressure and substance use. We do have more younger kids registered at this point, but the group is open for ages 8 to 18 to include all ages of the youth in Parham so that they have something to attend. We are working, when we are allowed to bring food in, when that happens, we will be doing activities that help increase food security and life skills in that area as well. We're going to be there this Thursday. We're going to be doing some holiday themes and learning a little bit about self-care for over the holidays. So this program will also allow me to keep doing work or continuing and expanding my work within the schools and within different youth services to bring more youth services to our area. So programs like Fuse, which runs through AMHS at One Roof in Kingston, which is a group for LGBTQS+ youth to attend and be in a safe space to gather. Programs like Rebound, which is run by Youth Diversion, programs that focus on building resiliency in our youth. This grant will allow me to work with those organizations to help support them in coming out to our area to support our youth better. Next slide, please. And that's my update on the youth program. That's what's been going on, and I hope it's been very informative for you. If you have any questions, I am here to answer. Louise Moody, my executive director, is also on this call. If you have any questions, direct at her.
Excellent. Okay. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Certainly, I think the work that you do, Sarah, is amazing. And the fact that we have so many youth in this. Terry, you need to mute again. There we go. So yeah, on behalf of council, I congratulate you on the work. And certainly when budget time comes, we'll keep your programs and all these youth in mind. Other comments or questions from anyone? Sherry, did you want to say something?
I don't know if it'll work. Will that work, Fran or Madam Mayor?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Yes. I just wanted to also thank Sarah for and everyone involved in that program. I think it's very valuable, and especially with COVID and people being in shutdown and unable to get out socially. So I just think it's great.
Yes. Excellent. Okay, thank you very much, Sarah. All right, we will move on then to staff reports. And our first one is Finance and Treasury. And it's moved by Sherry Wan, seconded by Bill McDonald, that council approve the check distribution reports totaling $287,162.06 as prepared by the treasurer. Any questions or comments? Michael is here. All those in favor? Carried. Either my internet is slow or you folks are slow at getting hands up, one or the other, or a bit of both. Okay, moved by Tom Dewey, seconded by Sherry Wan, that council approve the following apportionment of assessment as recommended by impact for 2021 and 2022 as applicable for the following roll numbers. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them there. Any questions on any of those? Hearing none, all those in favor? Carried. Michael's getting away very easy so far. We have a motion moved by Victor and seconded by Nikki that council for the Township of Central Frontenac approve the following reduction of assessment pursuant to the Municipal Act. Roll number 1039-040-010-07, 105, Kennedy, Douglas John, and Eleanor Irene Gale for the period of October 14th to December 21st, 2021, as reported by impact. Reason: damaged and sustainability unusable, substantially unusable. 357 1D2 by fire. Roll number 1039-07-010, 413-10, Thompson, Diane Catherine, and James William for the period of January 1st to December 31st, 2020, as reported by impact. Reason: gross or manifest factual error. 357 1F. And further, that council approve an adjustment of taxes to be calculated by the tax department for the related period. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Motion moved by Philip Smith and seconded by Brent Cameron that council approve transferring to reserves the unused portion of the 2021 budgeted projects listed on the attachment as of December 31st, 2021, which are to be completed in 2022. Discussion? Bill?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to get to Michael. Michael, any of the monies that we have received from the government for COVID expenses, there hasn't been any indication that they haven't been spent, that they're going to withdraw them, because given what's happening right now, we might actually need more money. Have you received any information in that area?
Through your worship to Councillor McDonald, I have not received any information. I would have to double check the list of where I've allocated the money. There's only one project that comes to mind that hasn't been spent yet, but it's in the works. So I haven't seen anything in that regard.
Okay, thank you.
Michael, I have a question. Will some of these numbers change with outstanding invoices that may come in yet, but before the end of the year?
Yes, so through your worship, to your worship, some of the money is just at this point because I don't have a bill in there. So in case it doesn't come in case I don't get the accrual done or we're off by a bit, I'd rather have council's authority to transfer the money into reserves and pull it out. And even if we don't use it for this particular project, like for example, road pavement preservation program, then it can still be used for public works projects, save us having to raise money next year for it.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, now we're at Development Services. Thank you, Michael. And moved by Bill McDonald, seconded by Sherry Wan, that council received the construction details report, November 2021, for information. Any questions or comments? Okay, Brent? Go ahead. Oh, you're on mute, Brent. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Just looking at the numbers, are quite remarkable. And obviously, Andy, you are very busy. I'm noticing that we're almost double over what we were 2 years ago, year over year. I find it interesting, though, that single family residential, the residential is gaining on seasonal, and it's becoming more and more of a mix. I was wondering if you wanted to comment on that, that we seem to be growing more in terms of full-time residents, marginally so, over seasonal.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Cameron. With the pandemic, I think a lot more people, as long as they have good internet, are starting to move from the cities to the area. It's yeah, people that have cottage lots are building permanent homes on them rather than just a cottage.
Yes, if they're not living here now, they plan to at some point, right?
Exactly.
So they're doing it upright at first go around.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried.
Thanks,
Thank
Council.
you, Andy. Now we are at Public Works. Motion moved by Sherry Wan and seconded by Tom Dewey. Whereas the partnership with the county received funding under the Rural Economic Development RED program from the Ministry of Agricultural and Rural Affairs, OMAFRA, to undertake a downtown revitalization process for downtown Charlotte Lake, which project and funding was extended to December 31st, 2021. And whereas the Economic Development Committee, Downtown Revitalization Management Group, and DTR Coordinator have prepared a draft strategic action plan and wish to bring this report to Council for their information and feedback prior to undertaking wider consultation and review and other stakeholder groups which have been involved in the process. Now, therefore, it be resolved that Council accept this report from the Economic Development Committee, including the interim strategic action plan for information, and that Council provide feedback to staff by January 11th, 2022 as part of the consultation process, and that the report be brought back for final approval before the end of February 2022. Discussion. Great report, but with the power out over the weekend, I didn't get through it all. Any other questions or comments? Victor, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Then Tom.
In the original report, there was one further section at the end of the recommendation about the 2-month extension. Has that been dropped from the resolution?
It's been set aside for now until we go into closed session.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Tom?
Tom, you're muted.
You're on mute, Tom. Get that little button on the left.
No, I got it here. No, Your Worship.
There you go. Okay.
No, there was a comment. If you look in the minutes of the Economic Development Committee, and I think it goes hand in hand with this report, the Communities Revitalization Committee, they recommend in that report that we set up a Communities Revitalization Committee, which would look at all the other municipalities within Central Frontenac. And I think that that is something really worth looking at, because that really falls within the scope of the strategic plan that I think the DTR committee has set out here. So I really think that we shouldn't lose sight of that, because I think it's important to look at the assets we have within Central Frontenac and the other communities, and take a look at those going down the road, as I think there's a lot of potential there. That's all I wanted to say there.
Well, I think, as we said, is that Charlotte Lake would be the beginning, and what comes out of that can be used in the other hamlets going forward. And I think that's very important. Brent, you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Well, first of all, I want to thank my fellow members of the Economic Development Committee and the DTR group. I want to thank Adriana and Tyson and Cindy in particular, who have provided a lot of support to us. It's been a bit of a journey. I'm glad that Tom brought up the point that one of the things that we are looking at, and better to position ourselves, our committee, as well as the township, in building upon this report and building it out to other villages, hamlets, and settlement areas. This is something that we're hoping to come in the not too distant future. Once we've been able to complete the work on this plan, we want to transition into talking about how we can better work out where we can, do this type of work in Parham, Titchburn, Arden, Godfrey, and so on and so forth. So looking forward to that. And, again, just a great deal of appreciation for all the hard work and dedication of everyone who's been involved in this thus far.
That you make some notes, and feel free to send those notes on to Adriana so that she can pull those things together. Or if you have questions about how something might work, I think the more we discuss this prior to our January meeting, the more fulsome the decisions will be on what the proposals are. A lot of work has gone into this, so I think we really need to take the time to understand what's in it and what's expected moving forward. So I think January, we should put a reasonable slot of time to discuss all of the points in the report. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Okay, Adriana, go ahead.
I just wanted to say something through you, Madam Mayor, to all the councilors and staff on the call. Thanks for all the support the past 16 months with different opportunities that have come to your attention for support. And I wish you all a happy holiday, and I hope that you just curl up and read this report in front of your fire. Don't throw it in. But if you do need the report in a different format, if for any reason you had issues downloading it, feel free just to connect with me and I'll get you another format or any additional supporting documents that you might be interested in.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Great.
Happy New Year.
And thank you for the great work.
It was a pleasure.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. Okay. Next we have Fire and Emergency Services. Jamie isn't with us tonight. He's on his way to Edmonton with a friend from his work. Moved by Nikki Gowdy and seconded by Philip Smith, that council received for information the CFFR activity report dated December the 14th, 2021. Any discussion? Bill?
Yes, it's not a matter of discussion, but I just wanted to make a comment, and perhaps somebody else has also noticed, Madam Mayor, that the number of medical calls that each of our detachments are making it seems to be growing at an exponential rate, and hopefully our firefighters are able to cover it all. But I just noticed that I just wanted to make that comment, that I noticed how that is growing. It's most of their activities, it seems, lately. Thank you.
Philip?
Just had a question, and I don't know, Madam Mayor, whether Kathy can answer or not, but I was informed that there potentially is some staffing issues with the paramedic service at the county and might not be coverage at the Parham base. So I guess that was a little alarming to me when I heard that in the public, and wasn't sure if we were aware of that.
No, I haven't heard anything, Philip, but I can certainly check that out.
And Bill and I, as county councilors, haven't heard that either, although we have our meeting tomorrow.
I would just hope that if that's the case, that, you know, perhaps coverage could come from Sydenham or the city to to provide some coverage for our bases out here.
Well, it's supposed to. If one ambulance is out, the other ones cover. So if Parham and Snow Road are out, then Sydenham would come up. But yeah, I'm not sure what you heard might be going on. Bill, go ahead.
Yes, through Madam Mayor, to Philip, Councillor Smith's comment. We do have a mutual aid agreement, and the comment that I think you're referring to is the fact that when the ambulances make a hospital call or whatever from a patient out in this area, they do get drawn into the city at times, and there are no ambulances available in this area for some time. But we do have a mutual aid agreement that if it's going to be for a long period of time, that I understand that there will be ambulance come up as far as, say, Silver Lake or whatever in Lanark County. But we can double check on that, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it is, so.
Okay, Nikki?
I also heard the concern that Councillor Smith heard as well. And I was also told that our ambulances are responding to the Kingston area more and more, and that there's no one in Snow Road and no one in Sydenham and no one in Parham for a majority of the day due to the high volume in Kingston. Is this something that County Council is aware of and have been looking at?
Just to let you know that is the protocol of how it works. When one ambulance is out and they do get called into the city and they do get stuck in the city, and the other ones look after it. And as Bill said, if our own ambulance services cannot cover for each other, then Lanark would come in and Hastings would come in. LNA, they have a seamless situation that they cover for each other. It doesn't mean that you're going to get an ambulance as fast. You're probably going to have to wait longer depending on where that coverage is coming from. But the ambulance services go steadily. We definitely could probably use more ambulances and more bases, but the expense is so huge. But we will mention it at county as well.
And Madam Mayor,
okay.
And also, Madam Mayor, just to let them know that I did see the ambulance today. I met it on 509 heading back towards Snow Road, or not to Snow Road, but to the Robertsville station. So it might have been out for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so any other questions on the activity reports? All those in favor of approving the report? Okay. Carried. Last time with COVID numbers getting higher, people stopped calling the ambulance, so it might slow down. All right, administration, St. John's Anglican Cemetery. We have a motion moved by Victor Hayes and seconded by Tom Dewey. Whereas the township has had the responsibility and control over the St. John's Anglican Cemetery on the corner of Frontenac Road and Ferguson Road since prior to amalgamation. And whereas the title to the property was never transferred from the church to the township. Now therefore be it resolved that council directs staff to engage legal counsel to transfer the property to the township. And further that the mayor and CAO clerk be authorized to sign the transfer documents. Just a little lapse of paperwork. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Cemetery updates, moved by Bill McDonald and seconded by Tom Dewey. The council received for information the cemetery update report, including the new rates for 2022 as outlined in Schedule B of the bylaw and adjusted per the Consumer Price Index and new prescribed care and maintenance fees imposed by amendments to Regs 30-11. Any discussion? It's getting more and more expensive to be buried. Go ahead, Bill. And then
Yes,
Tom.
Madam Mayor, I have some real concerns in regard to the amount that we're actually charging for plots to non-residents. Now, I know, like some people have said to me, well, a non-resident might be a cottage owner, and I have no problem with that because I consider people who have a cottage here as to be a resident, and they can take up permanent residence in our cemeteries anytime they want. But I would like to see us do a little research in regard to what does it cost if we were to go to a cemetery in Toronto, what would it cost us to buy a plot as a non-resident of the city of Toronto or Oshawa or anywhere else? I'm wondering if we're selling our plots a little too cheap compared to other areas, but I don't know that for sure, but that's my feeling. I would like to see an investigation into that, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Absolutely. And to answer your question through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor McDonald, is you are correct. Our prices are lower. The last time we did check, I remember that we were, the ones like in like the city of Toronto or any of those, probably double or triple our price. But I can certainly have Donna double check that.
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor. Again, I'd just like to follow up in regard to that. I really and truly feel that we are selling them too cheaply, and I would like to see a report. Even though we're going to adopt this, I would like to have add to this motion that we revisit it after that report comes back. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay. Tom, go ahead. You had your hand up.
Thank you, Your Worship. I had a couple of questions. One had to do with the transfer fee. What is a transfer fee with regards to the purchase of a grave? Like, what is that for?
It's if you're transferring it from your ownership to, say, your kids or your sister, you're actually transferring the deed of your plot.
That's correct.
Well, from the township to the new owner.
No, from you to the new owner.
Oh, okay. Okay, the other question I had a little more serious here, because the $835.89 is what we're charging, and I just took one example here of a grave in Central Frontenac. And then we also have a maintenance fee on top of that. Now I'm wondering, in that new maintenance fee structure, are we collecting that at the time we sell the grave? So in other words, the grave cost $835, and then maintenance for that particular grave might be $350. And is that $350 a perpetual fee? That's once you buy the grave and you pay or do you have to pay that $350? I guess I should ask that first. Is that $835 include the $350, or is that on top?
No, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Dewey. I am not 100% sure, but in past, yes, that would include the perpetual care, which is the maintenance. That's the same thing. So yes, that would be this all included into that one fee, but let me check on that too and confirm for you.
Okay, I mean, I didn't know. That's what I was wondering, because so in actual fact, then the price of the grave, it's kind of misleading, because it's really not $835.89. It's actually whatever that maintenance fee is for the particular grave on top of that, right? Which it should break it out. So the grave is less than $835.
Correct. Right? Yes, you're correct.
So then I agree with Bill. I think then we're really, we're really selling them pretty cheap then.
And I do believe your care and maintenance money has to go into a reserve.
Correct, it does. It goes into a reserve.
Yeah, and that's true. That's the same as
that to work with.
Yeah, that's the same as at our church too. You buy a grave and it goes into perpetual maintenance on the grave, because obviously the deceased is not going to be contributing after death. So unless they will it that way.
Okay, Nikki, and then Philip, I believe.
Through you, Madam Mayor, could we get a complete cemetery report? It was only certain cemeteries that was listed in the report, but I was wondering if we could get a complete report on every cemetery in the township for our knowledge, please and thank you.
Okay, through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Gowdy, is what the report is probably what she has done, what Donna has prepared, is the report on the Act of Cemeteries only. I can have her do a full report, but there are some of those inactive report cemeteries that we do not charge or they cannot be buried in. But I can certainly have her include those.
Okay, is Piccadilly full then?
Let's see, did she have Piccadilly in here?
Because the last time I went by, it wasn't full.
No, I don't think it is completely full. I know that, yeah, it should have all of them in here. You're correct. Yeah, I can have that brought up to you.
Okay, thank you very much.
I think it's a great idea to have it for council anyway. Okay.
Did you have your hand up?
Oh, sorry, I could hardly hear you. Through you, Madam Mayor, if we're going to look at the fees, one of the questions I had would have been about the interment fee and disinterment fee. I think, one is burial and the other one is, unburial.
Yeah.
So should they be the same cost perhaps? Just because one's, $600 and one's $180. If we're doing it to recover costs of actually doing that.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Councillor Smith, with the disinterment, it takes a lot more to disinter, as because you also have to have public health, and they have to be on site as well. So, but I can look at what we did previously on in our reports as to what that fee was for sure.
If it takes a lot more, the fee's a lot less then. So
yeah, that's true.
Okay, Sherry, you had your hand up.
Yes, if I'm coming through okay, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. My question was just sadly in regards to the vandalism that happened at the Parham Cemetery. Is that covered under the care and maintenance, the repair of the monuments, or is that through insurance?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Councillor.
Could you mute again, Sherry, please?
Yes. In regards, in regards to the vandalism, no, we cannot. It does not come out of the care and maintenance fund. It would be through insurance.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? We can go ahead with this motion, and Kathy will ask Donna to bring back another report that will answer some of the questions you have tonight, if that's okay. Okay, all those in favor of the motion tonight? Okay, motion's carried. All right. Conservation Authorities, regulatory changes and transition plans. Moved by Philip Smith, seconded by Nikki Gowdy, whereas amendments to the Conservation Authorities Act and regulations will require municipalities and conservation authorities to transition their relationships to designate between mandatory and non-mandatory and other programs and services. And whereas the regulations require transition plans to be provided by the Conservation Authority to the municipalities by December 31st, 2021. And whereas Quinte Conservation Authority and Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority have provided their transition plans, and Rideau Valley Conservation Authority will be providing their transition plan on December the 15th, 2021. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Council received this report, including the received transition plans from Quinte Conservation Authority and Mississippi Valley Conservation Authority for information. Discussion. Right now, their plans don't have dollars attached, which will happen down the road, I'm sure. And I think in 2022, there will be lots more discussions about the plan and how we're going to be able to work together. Okay, if there's no questions or comments, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Next is our business summary report to December 2021. Moved by Sherry Wan, seconded by Brent Cameron, that council received the CAO clerk's business summary report, December 2021, for information. Discussion on the report. Any questions or comments for Kathy? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of the motion? Motion's carried. Committee reports and minutes. And this one is the Economic Development Committee. Moved by Brent Cameron, seconded by Bill McDonald, that the Economic Development Committee minutes from their meeting held September 22nd, 2021 and November the 24th, 2021 be received for information. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Carried. Central Frontenac Trails Revitalization Committee, moved by Nikki Gowdy and seconded by Sherry Wan, that council received the Central Frontenac Trails Revitalization Committee minutes from October the 25th, 2021 for information. Any discussion, comments? All those in favor? Motion's carried. It's that time of night, everybody's slowing down on the internet.
Must be 5 o'clock.
Quincy Conservation. Yes. Moved by Victor Hayes, seconded by Nikki Gowdy, that council received the minutes from Quincy Conservation Authority's board meeting held October 21st, 2021 for information. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Moved by Brent Cameron and seconded by Victor Hayes, that council received the minutes from the RVCA board meeting held October the 28th, 2021 for information. That's Rideau Valley Conservation Authority, by the way. All those in favor? Carried.
Madam Mayor, Bill here. Could I ask why we don't receive any minutes from the Mississippi Valley Conservation meetings?
Now, I usually
Kathy,
receive.
can you answer?
Yeah, we usually receive an email from them. So, and sometimes they have them attached that we have to go into their, and I don't believe that we have received anything just recently.
Do you want to maybe have a look at the last? I don't think we've received them for months.
Okay, I will double check on through the emails too to see when the last time I received. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Here's our motion for our delegation that we had earlier, moved by Tom Dewey and seconded by Sherry Wan, that council received the presentation from Sarah McCullough on behalf of the Rural Frontenac Community Services Programs for Rural Youth for information. Discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. And we'll note that Councillor Gowdy had her video off and didn't vote.
Correct.
Okay. We are now at an appointment for deputy mayor. And I am going to call for nominations since I have a motion that have blanks in it. So who would like to nominate someone for deputy mayor? Nikki?
I would like to nominate Councillor Wan.
Do we have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Victor Hayes. Sherry, will you stand as deputy?
Yes, yes, I would be happy to. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any
Through
other
you, Madam Mayor.
nominations? I have to ask one more time. Are there any other nominations? Okay. So moved by Nikki and seconded by, who seconded that? Brent?
Victor.
Victor. Okay, that Sherry won. Be nominated for the appointment of deputy mayor for the Township of Central Frontenac for 2022 year. All those in favor?
Speech.
It's unanimous. Motion's carried. Congratulations, Sherry. Nikki, it was nice
Thank
working
you,
with you.
everyone.
And I look forward to working with you, Sherry. Okay.
Yeah, now you have to do the formal because he has
Yes,
been
we see
nominated.
that.
and
Okay,
nominated
so
her. Yeah.
I see that. So moved by Bill McDonald and seconded by Philip Smith. That Sherry Wan be appointed as deputy mayor for the Township of Central Frontenac for the year 2022. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, that piece of business is out of the way. Now we have a motion moved by Victor Hayes and seconded by Philip Smith that the following correspondence be received for information, and it's 1 to 10 that was in your package. Any questions or comments on any of that? If not, all those in favor? Carried. Correspondence requiring action. So moved by Bill McDonald and seconded by Sherry Wan. That council received for information the correspondence and report from the county regarding the communal service draft business case review of comments. And further, that council be encouraged to submit any questions or concerns regarding the revised business case through Engage Frontenac's 30-day public notification process when it becomes available in January 2022. Any discussion? I'm sure any comments could be done by email as well as through the Frontenac 30-day Engage Frontenac. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, now we have a public meeting. And Cindy, could you put up the statement that I'm supposed to make prior to the public meeting?
Can you see that up on the screen now?
Not yet. It's coming though, I'm sure. There we go. Okay.
I've got it here.
So the Council of the Township of Central Frontenac is conducting a public meeting under the Planning Act. This meeting is with respect to application ZB 0921 OS McMahon / Moses for the rezoning of part of lot 19 in Section 7, part of 13R 16880 Geographic Township of Oso, 1015 McVeigh Lane from a rural zone to a waterfront residential rural RW zone, to ensure that once the lot addition is complete, that the entire property will be identified by one zone. I will now ask the deputy clerk to advise the method by which notice of the meeting was given and confirmation as to the date that notice was given. Cindy?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can confirm that notices were posted on site on November the 23rd of 2021. An ad went in the Frontenac newspaper for the November 25th edition. It was also posted online on our website as of November 23rd, and notices were mailed to the adjoining 120-meter property owners, as well as to technical agencies requiring notice. Also, those went out on November the 23rd, 2021.
Okay, thank you. Any person who wishes to receive a copy of the minutes of the public meeting, a copy of the report or notice on the passing should include their full name, address, postal code, and contact numbers to Cindy Dakeman, Deputy Clerk, at the contact information provided in the report. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Central Frontenac before the proposed amendment being approved or adopted, the person or public body, one, is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Council of the Township of Central Frontenac to the Ontario Land Tribunal, and number two, may not be able as a party to the hearing, may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Lands Tribunal unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. The procedure for the public meeting will be as follows. The community planner will be asked to explain the purpose of the public meeting and present the planning report. The applicant will then be provided with an opportunity to discuss the proposal. I will then, if there are any persons present who wish to make an oral or written submission on the proposed proposal, if so, you should announce your name and state whether you support or oppose the proposal. Should there be any other persons wishing to make comment or ask questions about the proposal, they will then be given an opportunity to address council. The applicant will also be given an opportunity to respond to issues arising from the public comments. Please be aware that all persons wishing to address the issue should direct their comments and questions through the chair. I would also note that personal information collected as a result of this public meeting is collected under the authority of the Municipal Act, the Municipal Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, the Planning Act, and all other relevant legislation, and will be used to assist in making a decision on this matter. All personal information as defined by MFIPA, including but not limited to names, addresses, opinions, and comments collected, will be made available for public disclosure to members of the public at the meeting through request and through the website of the Corporation of the Township of Central Frontenac. Questions regarding the collection, use, and disclosure of this personal information may be directed to the clerk. I will now ask Cindy to advise how members of the public can participate in this meeting. Cindy?
Thank you, Madam Chair or Madam Mayor. For anyone who wishes to speak, if you can use the raise hand feature to alert me that you wish to speak, and that's at the bottom of the screen, raise hand down in the bottom, and that will alert me. I can move you over. It'll just take a moment to unmute your microphone. If there is anyone who is joining us by telephone, you can use the *9 feature, and that will have the same effect as raising the hand. Thank you.
Okay, and Sonia, are you going to lead us?
Madam
Sonia
Mayor,
or Dimitri?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, it's going to be Dimitri leading you this evening. Cindy, would it be possible for me to, okay, perfect. I can share my screen now. Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor and members of council. So just for the benefit of all the members of the public in attendance today, my name is Dimitri and I'm one of the community planners here at the County of Frontenac. So zoning application ZB0921 proposes to rezone approximately 5.7 hectares or 14 acres of land from rural to waterfront residential. The parcel to be rezoned is located just north of Silver Lake on the southeast corner of the property with the municipal address of 1015 McVeigh Lane. The lands subject to this application were approved as a lot addition parcel for the benefit of an existing undersized waterfront lot by the Committee of Adjustment on October 14th under consent application B5221. As a condition of that consent application, the applicant was required to apply for a rezoning of the lot addition parcel. There are a number of reasons that a rezoning of the lot addition parcels is recommended. Number one, the lot addition parcel is zoned as rural, while the lot that the lot addition parcel will be added to is zoned waterfront residential. Generally, split zoning of properties should be avoided as it can create unnecessary technical challenges for both landowners and the township. In this particular case, the rural zone allows for many more uses of various intensities that are not permitted under the waterfront residential zone. So in short, the waterfront residential zone is more restrictive in terms of the permitted land uses when compared to the rural zone. The other reason for this rezoning is due to the location of the lot addition parcel and the status of Silver Lake. The township official plan considers all lands that are located within about 150 meters or 490 feet of a water body to be located within what's called the waterfront area. The waterfront area policies exist to ensure that development does not have a negative impact on water quality of nearby lakes and the overall shoreline aesthetic and visual character of the waterfront, especially in the vicinity of an at-capacity lake trout lake. In this case, Silver Lake has been identified to be an at-capacity lake trout lake, and the township official plan states that generally lake trout lakes are extremely sensitive to development, and that development within 300 meters or 984 feet of an at-capacity lake has the potential to result in a negative impact on the quality of that water body. So in terms of comments from technical comments on the application, we didn't receive any comments from any of the circulated agencies. The circulated agencies, some of them, including the Conservation Authority, did comment on the consent application, and no concerns were identified. We did have one member of the public contact the planning department to ask some more questions and just the details of this rezoning. There was no subsequent correspondence after our phone call. All this considered, planning staff are of the opinion that the rezoning of the property to a more restrictive zone is one of the best ways to proactively ensure that future development does not have a negative impact on the quality of Silver Lake. So overall, planning staff are of the opinion that this rezoning application is desirable, and it is consistent with the provincial policy statement, that it conforms to the county and township official plan, and that it complies with the purpose and intent of the township zoning bylaw. As such, planning staff are recommending approval of this application. Thank you, and I'll now take any questions.
Consider you're directing the questions and comments.
I do have a question up from the public when we get to that point, if there's no questions from council. I will move over.
Does anyone on council have a question? I don't see any questions from council, so go ahead.
I'm going to move over Kevin Jackson.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'm abutting I've got one of the waterfront properties that are on the lake abutting this rezoning application. You mentioned there are restrictions for waterfront area. If it's not a long list, what are the restrictions that would apply to this that wouldn't apply to the rural? Like, is that an easy answer, or is that a long answer?
I think it's a long answer, but maybe Dimitri could touch on the most different points.
Yes, thank you for the question, and through Madam Mayor. In summary, the rural zone allows for a lot more in different types of uses that would be described as more intensive. So there are commercial uses that are permitted, and other types of uses that would require more land or more resources, whereas the waterfront residential zone is essentially just limits the uses that can take place on the property to that you would typically see of a residential lot. So just a dwelling, an accessory structure. In this case, I think the applicants are looking to build a vegetable garden for personal use, as well as a small shed. So that's totally in line with the waterfront residential zone. So in summary, the rural zone just allows for a lot more uses and a lot more intensive uses that the waterfront residential zone does not typically allow for. I hope that answers the question.
Yes, thank you. You say there is an ability to build. What is the restrictions on the building? Is it, can it be serviced with hydro and water and things like that? Like, can it be a separate residence, or I know you mentioned a shed, but I know how small projects can grow.
Through the mayor, right now, because this lot addition parcel or the lands that are going to be rezoned are going to be added to an already developed lot, that developed lot already has a residence on it. So there's already a single dwelling there. In this case, the rezoned lands would not be able to support an additional residence if the residence on that waterfront parcel is not demolished for any reason. So if you have one property, one lot of record can only support one dwelling. So in this case, there's very limited development activity that could take place on the property. Perhaps what I can do after this meeting is just forward the permitted uses section of the zoning bylaw, and it'll just provide what could be constructed on those lands. But in this case, if the waterfront lot remains developed with the dwelling, the only thing that could really be developed on that lot addition parcel are accessory uses such as a garage or a shed or similar accessory structures.
Yeah, okay, good. But it can have hydro. Can it also have water provided to it, or do you know?
There are some provisions that, through the mayor, of course, there are provisions that do allow for accessory buildings to be serviced in some capacity, whether it's through hydro or through water services. That, of course, would require water to be brought to those lands, whether it's an additional well or for a water line to be essentially directed from that waterfront parcel to that lot addition parcel. But it's not anything that can't be done, that wouldn't be able to occur on any other waterfront property that would have this type of this much land area.
Thank you, Dimitri. That's helpful. The last question I would have is just for articulation is, there was some talk of using the area for use of ATV vehicles. And I'm just a little, just want to know whether that would be an approved use of the property to use to run around ATV vehicles or motorcycles or whatever, or to use it as a kind of a track like that. Would that be within the realm of possibility?
So through the mayor, I would have to look into that some more, but I do believe that if the applicant wishes to use, motorbikes or an ATV on their property, they are allowed to do that. Of course, if this is more of a commercial use where somebody is, generating profit from having lots of people come on the property to do those activities, then that would be considered a commercial use, and it's not something that would be permitted within the RW zone. But in terms of just some landowner using motor vehicles on their own property, that is something that is permitted.
Of course. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you very much. I think that's fine. I think I know the people well enough, but you just never know what the future holds, right? Once something happens. Anyway, thank you very kindly. I have no opposition to the request for rezoning.
Okay, do we have anyone else?
We do have another, the applicant, I'm going to move over, Mr. Mahone. Okay, go ahead. Mr. McMahon, can you hear us?
Hello?
Hello,
Hi.
go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to thank the council, Madam Mayor and the council for bringing this forward. And just as to Kevin Jackson's recent comment, I agree with him that things can change over time. However, from what I understand from the buyer, his intention, first of all, his extended family members jointly own the property. And in his words, he wants to have the land to retain the natural habitat as a legacy for his present and future generations. So I don't believe that there's anything nefarious with the current owner, and if the family members continue with the ownership of the property as well. So that's basically all I pretty well have to say. Dimitri covered all my other comments pretty thoroughly as far as the addition being pretty restrictive with the rural waterfront zoning. So I appreciate having the opportunity to speak, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Okay. Do we have anyone else?
Madam Mayor, I do see Mr. Jackson's hand up again. I don't know if it's just not from before or whether he raised it again. So I'm just going to move him over to check.
It was from before. I just had that follow-up question. I didn't realize that I was able to do the follow-up questions without raising my hand again. So I am done and I have no opposition. Thank you kindly.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. And again, back to council. Is there any questions or comments from anyone on council? Okay, seeing none. Cindy, could you put up my closing statements, please?
Just a moment. Oops, sorry, I need to move this over here. Okay.
Okay, the public meeting is now concluded. I would remind any person wishing to receive additional information to provide their full name, address, postal code, and contact numbers to Cindy Dakeman, Deputy Clerk, to the email address or phone number in the report. Okay. I have a motion to read based on this planning report, moved by Philip Smith, seconded by Bill McDonald. That Township Council received public comments at the public meeting scheduled for December the 14th, 2021, and that the application for zoning bylaw amendment, file number ZB0921, McMahon and Moses, for the 5.7 hectare, 14-acre parcel of land located at part of Lot 19, Concession 7, Geographic Township of Oso, be approved, and that the zoning bylaw number 2011-52 of the Township of Central Frontenac, as amended, be further amended as per attachment 2, draft bylaw and Schedule A, to amend zoning bylaw number 2011-52, and that council determines that in accordance with section 3417 of the Planning Act, no further notice is required prior to the passage of the bylaw, and that the amending bylaw be presented to council for all 3 readings. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. So we have a bylaw coming up later in the meeting. Okay, we have some bylaws now. Moved by Tom Dewey, seconded by Brent Cameron. Whereas council passed bylaw 2021-64 at its November 3rd, 2021 meeting to approve the submission of an application to Ontario Infrastructure and Lands Corporation, OLIC, for long-term financing of capital works. And whereas said application was successful and said long-term financing documents have been prepared to secure the funding. Now therefore be it resolved that bylaw 2021-64, being a bylaw to authorize the borrowing upon amortizing debentures in the principal amount of $1,800,000 towards the cost of the 2021-2020 budgeted roads project, Ardoch Road reconstruction, Road 38 shoulder restoration, Charbot Lake Village road work, Elizabeth, Garrett, Robert Streets, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 14th day of December, 2021. Any discussion? All those in favor, or do you have questions? Bill, do you have a question?
I have a question. I don't know if Michael's still with us or not, but I would like to know how much money this is actually saving us moving in this direction. I think, if I remember correctly, it's in the neighborhood of $60,000, but I'd like a confirmation of that, but maybe Michael's not with us, so.
Madam Mayor, I can get Michael on the phone. He did say if there were any questions relating to the bylaw that we could give him a call on his cell phone.
He can get back to me later on, Madam Mayor.
Okay, okay. Brent?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. I was just noticing we're saying toward the cost of the 2021-2020. I'm not sure if that's a typo or there's an intention on that. I just wanted some clarification.
I think it's because the village project started in 2020 and ran over into 2021. Kathy, is that true?
I believe so, yes, Madam Mayor.
And Madam Mayor, the bylaw drafting came from Infrastructure Ontario with that specific wording in it. I'd be very hesitant to change it at this point.
But I think Madam Mayor is correct. I think because we did over 2 years.
Yep.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. It just seemed to be worded very strangely. But if that's the language we're supposed to use, that's fine by me.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, next we have interim tax bylaw. It's that time of the year again. Moved by Nikki Gowdy and seconded by Sherry Wan, that bylaw 2021-65 being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy and to provide for the payment of taxes and to provide for penalty and interest of 1.25% per month, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 14th day of December 2021.
Camera.
Discussion? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. Motion by Victor Hayes and seconded by Philip Smith, that bylaw 2021-66 being a bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 2011-52 as amended, zone change from rural zone to waterfront residential zone, part of lot 19, concession 7, geographic township of Oso, be read a first, second, and third time, and finally passed this 14th day of December 2021. That was what we just discussed at the meeting. All those in favor? Carried. Okay. Now let me just find my agenda here. Okay, notice of motions. Do we have any notice of motions?
No.
Okay, we under new and other business, we have Wi-Fi at the Oso Hall.
Cindy's going to speak to that, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I didn't have time to do up a report on this one, but we did have a request from one of our renters. It's the Alcohol Anonymous group that I think they meet monthly on Mondays at the Oso Hall. And they were looking at wondering if they would be able to have access to the Wi-Fi. And staff had talked about it a little bit, and I had mentioned it to Mel as well in terms of how that might work. We just wanted to seek some guidance from council as to whether everyone was on board with the idea of offering free Wi-Fi to the renters at the hall. The fee, I don't have my email address up. I think it was $85 a month, basically, that we pay for Wi-Fi at the hall. So it's a relatively nominal amount that we pay. And I think that that's probably a decent service to offer our renters, but I just wanted to talk to council and get your feedback before we made that decision to go ahead.
Okay, what do folks think? I know certainly I've been there for a meeting, and without Wi-Fi, it's not good because you basically are not receiving things as instantly as you should be.
Ironically, Madam Mayor, I missed most of your comments because the internet was not very good and you were kind of cutting up a little bit.
And Sherry, or Cindy, I also have the email up. So you are correct that it's an unlimited business plan at $82.75 a month, and that it is not connected to any of the township networks. So there is a simple, he said there's a simple router on site, and there's no login page or agreement page like you would see, for instance, like at Tim Hortons. This is coming from Mel. Changing the password would involve going to the site and logging onto the router. Changing the password would be annoying to councillors and staff once we use the hall again. That was his comments in regards to the cost anyway.
Okay. Hey, Victor, you were going to add something. Go ahead, Victor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, for me, this seems like a no-brainer. This is like in the downtown revitalization report that we just received. One of their recommendations is getting free Wi-Fi for people who are circulating within the village. This would be just one step forward, so I would be in support of doing
it. Philip, go ahead.
I think it's a great idea. I'm just wondering if maybe Mel could provide us with some ideas on control measures, so no illegal activities could be taking part on a internet access that we're providing.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that's a good point. I will talk to him about that. I'm assuming that the setup includes access through our firewalls, but I will have him double check what security features are involved with that.
Rep, go ahead.
If I'm not mistaken, a lot of these Wi-Fi setups, people would be familiar with their own, that you have the ability to set up 2 access points and one that you could label as guest. So that might be something we want to work out, where there would be one sign-in protocol and one identified password for a guest profile that users could use, separate and distinct from what we might use for township business.
The county is set up like that. Okay, I think I've lost my internet. Oh, maybe I'm not. Okay, any other discussion? I have written the motion to say, moved by Sherry Wan, seconded by Bill McDonald, that we provide Wi-Fi service at the OSO Hall for our renters. Do we need to add anything else?
I don't think so.
Victor?
Well, I appreciate Philip's comment about security measures, or at least finding out. So could we add just a little caveat, subject to
security clearance?
Yeah, subject to clearance from security measures or something like that.
How about subject to ability to secure?
Or how about some subject to review of security measures needed?
Okay.
IT, yeah.
Okay, measures needed. My shorthand's rusty. Okay, so the motion reads that we provide Wi-Fi service at the OSO Hall for our renters, subject to review of security measures needed. Okay, all those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay. Now, we have from North Frontenac Little Theatre. I have a motion moved by Victor Hayes and seconded by Sherry Wan that council receive the report from the North Frontenac Little Theatre, thanking the township for the tremendous welcome and support as they transition into the Oso Community Hall as their new home. Their report was very nicely done with all the ticks and yeah. Okay, all those in favor? Carried. All right, is there any giving of notice of motion?
None.
Okay. I have a motion to go into closed session then. Moved by Bill McDonald and seconded by Tom Dewey. That council move into closed session pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act to discuss 1, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, section 239(2)B. 2, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, section 239(2)B. And 3, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, section 239(2)B. All those in favor? Carried. So Cindy has sent us the closed session link.
Yes, I
You
emailed
need
that
to
out late morning, I believe. So I will end this meeting and open up the link for the other ones. And if you have any trouble,
Does
you can
everyone
send.
have the link? Everyone has the link? Okay. See you in the next